And with that out of the way, let's go right ahead into the first bit of news with the in the NBA right now, which is the most recent trade between the Chicago Bulls and the Oklahoma City Thunder. I was not expecting this trade to happen coming in from the Bulls because I felt that the Bulls really found value in Alex Caruso, and they really liked him on the squad. He was providing enough for them both on the offense and the defensive side of the ball. I did not expect the team to trade a player that is incredibly valuable, and on top of that, I didn't expect them to, in return, get a player that might not actually be that valuable. Now, you guys know that I'm not a big fan about talking about Giddey. I don't like him. I don't like what he allegedly does. I don't like the things that he's gotten in trouble for. I don't like it at all. And I'm not going to touch on it because, I just don't want to touch on it. Funny joke right there. But aside from that, all the stuff, off court, I guess it makes sense like why the Thunder wanted to trade him away because, all that off court stuff, it was a little bit of a distraction, and I wouldn't be surprised if, it caused some chemistry issues in the locker room because let's face it, when an accusation like his just comes out of the blue and there's pictures that sort of that taint a bad look on one of your teammates, you're going to feel some kind of way. And after that incident, Chet Holmgren unfollowed Josh Giddey on Instagram. So it's clear that he doesn't want to really be associated with Giddey and his things off the court, whatever it might be. And it's a little bit weird. I'm not going to for those of you guys that know what Josh allegedly did, then you guys know exactly why it's weird and why I just don't want to talk about it right now, and why Chet Holmgren is or was being a little bit distant in that time towards Giddey. And it makes sense how the rest of the locker room and the rest of the players probably wouldn't feel, or they probably would agree with Chet, and they'd feel the same way about Giddey. So this trade, I see this as a great move from the Thunder. This is an A-plus trade coming in from the Thunder. The fact that they were able to get rid of someone who was going to be a problem in the locker room, and they replaced him with someone who, in my opinion, is so much better and can fill the roles that you need so much better. Because while Giddey is, mediocre at doing everything, because, he's pretty good at scoring, he's pretty good at rebounding, he's pretty good at passing, and that's really, he's a triple-double, he could be a walking triple-double, but he just wasn't. And then in the postseason, he was even worse. He was arguably the biggest reason why the Thunder didn't make it farther in the postseason. His lack of defense, and he had one of the worst box plus minuses compared to anyone in the series. It was horrible. His performance was horrible, and after that performance, it almost demanded him that he be traded. Honestly, it's that's really it's a good move from the Thunder. Now, from the Bulls, on the other hand, that's completely different. I don't understand why the Bulls would actually, engage in this trade. I didn't expect them to want to give up a player that valuable and that because he's Alex Caruso, while he isn't the same offensive talent, he's a great defender. And defense and his play style, a lot of teams find that incredibly valuable, being a 3-and-D player. And I feel like that is a great mix for the Thunder, having a 3-and-D guard to pair along with Shai and help him on sort of the defensive side of the ball, because Shai, he plays pretty good defense with the steals and things of that nature. Pairing him up with Shai is going to be really cool. And let me just see. So, and on the Bulls' perspective, I mean, acquiring a player like him, like Giddey, I could see it as a little bit of a benefactor as well, because he can do a lot more with the ball than Alex Caruso, I'm sure. Like, given his heights and given his abilities on the court, he could be a pretty good scoring option. However, I'm not sure how his off-court antics are going to mesh well with the locker room. I also have no idea how his chemistry is going to be with the Bulls and the locker room with that. I'm not entirely sure if the Bulls have the intention of sort of blowing this entire roster up as well, because they've recently been engaged in different trade talks. They've been listening to several trades, like for Zach LaVine, and it seems like, not to mention DeMar DeRozan's going to be a free agent, it seems as if they're trying to put themselves in a rebuilding situation, because now they're looking at trades for Zach LaVine, and there's also the possibility of DeMar and free agency. And given how this sort of era with DeMar and Zach LaVine hasn't worked, maybe they try to blow up the roster. And honestly, the Bulls, they've been trying to trade Zach LaVine for a while. So maybe this is finally the year where they get to finally do that. But this is like let me know in the comments what you guys think of this trade. I'm just looking at an article right here, and in Chicago, Giddey's fate might be tied with the rest of the roster. If DeMar and Zach come back, his weakness as a shooter will likely continue to hold Josh Giddey back. He's best suited as a full-time point guard, and those on-ball reps won't be available if DeRozan and LaVine are still there. And not on top of that, Kobe White being the point guard also doesn't help your situation, especially because Josh Giddey is much better with being a much more ball dominant player. And why did they engage in this trade? Well, one of the biggest reasons why this trade was even engaged in the first place was because the Thunder were looking to move Josh Giddey over to the bench, and Josh Giddey wasn't happy with that. So he decided that he would rather get traded than come off the bench, which is a little bit, I think that's a pretty lame mentality, because like if your team makes it to the playoffs and you're in a very good position to win, I feel like you should stick with that team and just listen to whichever role they assign you to and see how far it could take you. Then that's when you start to trade. Or that's when you engage in a trade. I mean, they were the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and their lack of experience and Josh Giddey's lack of play costed them the series against the Dallas Mavericks. So I don't know, like maybe they could have probably gone a little bit farther if they maintained or if they made the adjustments that they needed. But I mean, getting Alex Caruso is still a really good deal, and you get a player that can play defense, and then you get a player that can score the ball rather efficiently. You don't really need another playmaker like Giddey on your team when you have Jalen Williams and you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So I really think this is a good trade for the Thunder, but I don't think this is a good trade for the Bulls. I'm just not a big fan of the player that they got. That's really like and not to mention the fact that Caruso, he's one of the best defensive perimeter guards that the league has. He didn't win an all NBA defensive team selection this year, but he's really good at defense, and it shouldn't be slept on. So that's all that I have for you in this first segment. So now we will go ahead and move on to the second segment, where I talk about JJ Redick and his official contract with the Lakers, because it's finally revealed how much he's getting paid and for how many years. So I will be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in